Okay, I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. Why does it look so weird? There we go. Okay. Just waiting for you guys to turn up. Got nothing to say to myself while I sit here all by myself. Okay. Is anyone on? Nope, nobody's here yet. There we go. Okay, hello. Charlotte Fox. That sounds like something like a Disney. Charlotte Fox. Okay. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. I'm on YouTube. By the way, all of my lives are saved on YouTube. If there was ever a time when you ever wanted to rewatch it, it will be on YouTube. Okay. Okay. I think I'm finally over that cold now. I haven't coughed much today. Hi, Victoria. Finally caught you. I'm so happy to see you live. Excellent. Happy to see you too. Thanks for supporting me and turning up. I think we'll get going now. I have enough people, so you can just start asking questions. In the meantime, I'll introduce myself. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, a grandmother, and a mother. And if you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. So I'm just trying to line it up with YouTube. I got two cameras going here. Okay, so what I do is I hop around from Facebook, then I go to Instagram, then I go to TikTok, okay? So I start with my smallest platform, which is Facebook, then Instagram is bigger, and then TikTok is biggest. It goes 200,000, 400,000, 600,000, and that's it. I stop there. And then on YouTube, I've got 11,000 followers on YouTube now. YouTube's a bit of a beast to figure out. It's a search engine. It's not social media, so it interacts quite differently. But anyway, okay, thanks so much for joining me. If you want to ask questions, go ahead. When you're potty training and your toddler has an accident, do you act disappointed or tell them it's okay? Just say, oh, no big deal. Sometimes I pee on the floor too. Yep, no big deal. You never discipline bodily functions. Yeah. Okay. I think my cold is finally gone. I've been coughing for 3 weeks. I'm feeling better today. I haven't coughed much, although my voice starts to give out a bit because I've been coughing so much for 3 weeks, but hopefully I'm better now. It's been a rough three weeks because I talk for a living. So when you're coughing, it's kind of awkward. Okay, so I'm just waiting for your parenting questions. Anything up to 18 years old. I specialize in teenage stuff, but I talk about all ages. Most people who turn up on these lives seem to have younger kids, but some people have teenagers, so feel free to ask. Someone said, oh, do you talk about teens? Well, I do, but it's just most people on here ask about younger kids. Okay, Christy Mays. Hello, just started following you and trying to use your techniques. I have a 3-year-old boy who is quite honestly out of control. The hitting, screaming, disrespect, and saying no to everything. How do I start off right and become a leader and start having him respect me and my request? He won't respect your request. I don't want to explain that right now. But anyway, it doesn't mean he won't do what he needs to do, but he's got to learn that if he chooses the wrong path, then there's a consequence. That's how it works. It's not that you ask them something and they go goody. It's just they realize if they don't do it, there's going to be a consequence. Anyway, so check out my free behavior board. If you want to go to the next level up, check out the boot camp course. That's 3 to 12 years old, and it's all about you and your leadership. It's about empowering you to be a leader, a calm leader. You want to have fun with your kids. You want to be friends with your kids, but you want to inspire them as a leader. You don't want to be the dictator or the old-fashioned authority, and you certainly don't want to be the disastrous pleaser style parent. That's an absolute disaster. So yeah, you want to be a leader. A leader inspires them to make good choices, and it increases their self-esteem. And when they like themselves when they're with you, they generally want to please you. That's the way it goes. So check out the bootcamp course. That might be a good fit for you. Or the behavior board's free. You can just start there. Brooke, I like that name, Brooke. You've taught me so much. Thank you for your videos. You're very welcome. You know, I'm older. I've been doing this for a long time. And I think if you're good at something, or you think you are anyway, I think you should be sharing it. So everyone's got something to share out there. Everyone's good at something. So I happen to love parenting. The only 3 things I've ever taught is fitness, sewing, and parenting. And I love all three. And but everyone's good at something, right? You should be out there teaching stuff too. Share what you're good at. Share what you're passionate about. I have a 6-year-old boy. There's a lot I want to say about him, but to keep it short, what do you say when they tell you, I don't care? Oh, so why would you respond to that? Yeah, check out the behavior board. That'll tell you how to move forward with rules and consequences. And if they say, I don't care, say, okay. Like, what do you want me to do about it? Like, it's just a snarky remark. And they're trying to get your gears going, right? Just don't let that happen. Okay, this is on YouTube. This is Brianne. What is effective, proper discipline for a 10-year-old with ADHD? I learned all this stuff with kids with ADHD. I didn't learn much with my own kids. I used to mentor troubled teens and all sorts of kids. They all seem to be alphabet kids. I call them alphabet kids because they always had ADHD, WXYZ after their names. Okay, so check out the behavior board. That's a good place to start. It's completely free. It's linked above or in my description on YouTube. Or you can go to the next level, go to the boot camp course. Or you can look into coaching too, but I don't think you need that for a 10-year-old. I always try and point everyone to the boot camp course. It's 5 weeks. It's all, you can go at your own pace. Don't speed it up. You can slow it down by a week or two or a bit more over summer. Summer is a good time to do this, by the way, because you have more time with your kids. But yeah, ADHD means nothing to this. Like, it's all the same stuff. It might just take a little bit longer, a little bit more patience. Okay, hi, I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and just bought and completed your toddler tantrum busting 1 to 3-year-old mini course and love it. I highly recommend it. Thank you. Oh, thanks very much for that testimonial. I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. The tantrum course is so simple. I know sometimes I had someone once, I gave them a refund because they complained about it. They said it was too short. Used to be a lot longer. I took out everything that you didn't need to hear. You know, I don't believe in wasting words, like, you know, because I just say it like it is. So the tantrum course is right to the point. This is exactly how you deal with tantrums. And I took out all that extra stuff. So yeah, I gave that person a refund. I think they went back and bought it again anyways. Struck me as funny. I think so. I can't remember. It's funny. But yeah, it's very simple. It's one of my mini toddler courses. It's just a mini course. Okay. Okay. I have a 3-year-old and her behavior is overall great, but she has terrible tantrums and seems, oh, there we go. Oops, it's a long one. And seems uncontrollable at times. Okay, I won't go into it. So she's uncontrollable at times. At 3, okay. I don't know if she was like that before, but at 3, they often find their power. At 3 years old, they often go, wait a minute, you don't know what you're doing. I think I'll take over. It's when they have the ability to stop and think. There's a fork in the road at 3. They either take the easy path because they know you're a leader, or they're just easy kids anyway. Or they say, you know what? You don't know what you're doing. I think I'll take over. So maybe that's what's happened. At 3, there's that fork in the road. Anyway, check out the behavior board. It starts at the age of 3. It's completely free. It's in the link above. It has rules and consequences for every member of the family, 3 and over. You included. You have to be on there. I teach leadership. You have to be accountable because you're leading by example. They're watching you. If you're not accountable for what you do, how do you expect the kids to be accountable? It's not fair. It's disrespectful. I teach that you give respect to get it. This stuff just works. It just does. The clients I have, because most of my days are spent coaching one-on-one with clients, right? So the clients who get the best results, the fastest results, are the ones who don't question me. Like, they just do it. They remove emotions and they just follow through with the process. And I understand emotions get in the way of a lot of this, but those are the clients who have the hardest time. It's the slowest progress is when they say, I know, but they just upset me when they do this. When you allow your emotions to get involved in this process, it's not going to work. Because it just doesn't. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm saying it's your own, your own schedule, your own time, your own emotions. But if you're able to remove emotions when you're disciplining and just treat it like a business transaction, way better success. Like, I know my son used to say to other kids, if I was looking after them or whatever, I heard him once say, if my mom ever whispers, run. That's what I'm disciplining. Because I'm normally very loud and gregarious, but if I'm disciplining, I get very quiet. It goes something like this. Hey, I didn't like that. Here's what we're going to do. Do you understand? It's like that. It's like a business transaction. There's no emotions in disciplining. Lindsay, I've learned so much from you. Excellent. Thank you. I don't know quite how you've, okay, I'm going to read this out, but I don't quite understand it. How about making a dynamic of one leader parent and one reactive parent in their survival brain? Work? How to make a, so you've got, okay, let's go with a leader and a pleaser, okay? So this is often the way it goes in a family. One parent is the leader, the other one is the pleaser. It works just fine so long as you're on the same parenting page. And what happens is the pleaser needs to defer to the leader. So I'll give you a good example of that. My mom was the leader, my dad was the pleaser. And neither of them ever yelled. They were just didn't. I never yelled. But anyway, my mom was the leader, dad was the pleaser. So I can remember dad was cluing into this. And my mom would say, you let her get away with anything. And you, oh, she's so adorable. Mom said, not always. Like she just saw me for what I was, a normal kid, right? My dad couldn't see anything wrong with me. He was blind. Anyway, so I remember once I said to my dad, and I had to whisper so mom couldn't hear, I wanted something that I knew mom wouldn't want me to have. So I said, Daddy, can I please have that? And he said to me, sure, sweetie pie, you can have anything you want. And I'm like, you know, and then he said, let's go check with mom first. And I said, oh, never mind. So he was deferring to the leader. So it does work. There usually is one stronger leader. There's often a leader and a pleaser, okay? There's usually one stronger than the other. It's very rare to have a leader and an authority style parent in the same house. I have a client right now, one's a leader and one's the authority. We're balancing that out. We'll figure it out. But they often clash, and those are the parents who are often arguing. So yeah, I do get that in coaching. So, but yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. Sandy Schneider's. We watch our great grandson, 16 months. Love your tips. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Great grandson. Wow. Love your help from Kathy. Thanks so much for your support. I appreciate that. I'm on Facebook. I'm almost at 200,000 now. And that's just over a period of, I think, 6 months. So I'm just bowled over by that. I can't believe it. So I really appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. I don't take it for granted. I really do appreciate it. And my goal is always to help parents. That's why I'm here. And I hope that comes across. I just say it like it is. And my goal is I want you to enjoy parenting. I don't care what you think of me. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. I want you to raise kids that you enjoy being around, that you can't wait to see them at the end of the day. Like school pickup for me was my favorite part of the day. At the top gate at school, I loved it, picking up my kids after school, because I got all that pesky discipline and respect all cemented when they were really little, so I could just relax and enjoy them right through the teen years. That's what I want for all of you. I don't just want you to raise nice kids. That's fine, but it's kind of boring, right? I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy your kids like I did. I just had a blast. It was the most fun I ever had. You know, you raise these two little buddies that they have the same sense of humor as you because you raised them, right? Kind of mold them that way. And then they're teenagers and they grow up and they develop more of their own stuff too. But when they're little, you can kind of mold their humor and all that stuff. So yeah, it's great. I want you to enjoy parenting. I want you to have fun. Okay. Love what you teach. I'm totally on board. Excellent. This is Lucy Edwards. What other consequences do you suggest to 24-hour media blackout? Okay. On the behavior board, there's a rule and a consequence for everybody. So you break a rule, there's a consequence. With the kids, they have two consequences because you can't always get them to do the first one. The first consequence is the one you start with, and it's a positive action. So you get them to do a chore or something. So they do something naughty, they break a rule. So you get them to clean a window or something, whatever. And then if they won't do that, which is often the case, then you resort to the second consequence, which is negative deprivation. So you start with a positive action. If they refuse to do it, then you do the negative deprivation. So you take away something. It's usually 24-hour media blackout because most kids are on screen these days. But I do get clients who don't use any screens at all with their kids. So we take something else away that they love and they use every single day. We just never take away anything that's comforting or loving. Like we would never take away a plushie that they sleep with every night, not something like that. But you take away something that they play with every single day. It's usually just a toy. There's lots of other methods. Sometimes people say, well, they don't like anything. There's always a way. Yeah. Not once have I ever been tripped up. I've always managed to find leverage. Sometimes we have to invent it. Anyway. No, I thought I was finished with this coughing. My 4-year-old son is starting to talk back. How do I handle this? That's a tell. It means you're not a leader and he doesn't respect you. Check out the behavior board and start with that. You just do one step at a time. So you do one behavior board 1 week. The second week you do a second one. Now you got 2 of them. Third week you do 3 of them. You stop there. So you've got 3 behavior boards in 3 weeks. By that time, you've got 3 different rules for everybody, or for the kids at least, 3 different rules, and you're starting to learn how to lead. You lead by handing out consequences if they make a poor choice. So if they break a rule, there's a consequence, and just follow through with it. All discipline is done like it's a business transaction. Also, I'm not really about discipline. I know that's all everyone ever asks me about, but it's not what I teach, really. I teach connecting with kids, bonding with them, having fun with them. A good example is your rule is usually no yelling. Most parents yell. If you yell, you put down no yelling on the behavior board. Your consequence is play hide and seek for 15 minutes. Or if you've got teenagers, you're not allowed to talk for the rest of the night. Put a Band-Aid on your mouth to remind yourself and them. So just stuff like that. Have fun with them. You want to bond with your kids. If you're just disciplining, boring. Who wants to do that? You want to have fun with your kids. You want to enjoy them, right? Doesn't the leader feel like they are the bad guy? Absolutely not. You're the one they turn to. You're the one they tell everything to. You're the safe place to land. Yeah, you're the leader. Think about it this way. At school, there's a leader, right? There's usually a leader. It doesn't mean that they're the bad guy, right? Isn't there like a social group at school and there's always a leader? Sometimes they're the bully, but not usually. It's usually someone who's just got charisma and, someone who makes everyone included. And so, yeah, leadership is not about the bad guy. The funny thing is that a lot of my clients, when they first hire me, they don't want to be the leader. Once they realize what it entails, they fight over which one's going to be the stronger leader. So, yeah, the leader is the prized role. It's the one that the kids will tell everything to, right through the teen years. So, yeah, you're the safe place to land. I'm telling everyone that has kids to watch your videos, and often tell them the Whaley story because that's what really turned my head and made so much sense. That's the pool story. I'll tell it here. I hate telling the story because I can't even hear it anymore. I've told it so many times, but I'll try and concentrate and get through it. Anyway, it's the first video on all my platforms, I think. I know it on Instagram and TikTok. It's the first video, and it's called Example of Leadership Parenting, and it's the pool story. So I'll tell it now. This exemplifies, is that the right word? I don't think I've ever used that word in my whole life. I'm not fancy. That explains how I view leadership parenting. Here goes. It's the pool story. It wasn't my kid. It was another kid I was dealing with. Anyway, it was my son's 8th birthday, and he had a pool party. We had a pool in the backyard. So he just turned 8 years old, and we had 5 of his little 8-year-old friends over. My husband took our daughter somewhere for a little bit, so it was just me watching the kids in the pool. So, and I'm a safety freak, and we had this giant blow-up toy, and it was Whaley. It was a giant blow-up whale. And I said to the kids, before they even got in the pool, I said, Whaley cannot go in the pool because I can't see behind him. And I didn't want to let the air out because we don't have a foot pump. So I put him way off to the side. So I said, okay, that's it. Whaley doesn't go in the pool. It's a safety issue, right? So anyway, that was that. They go in the pool. Sure enough, one of the kids brought Whaley in the pool, and I knew he would. I just knew it. Anyway, so he brings Whaley in the pool, and I said to him, Whaley, out of the pool now. And he said to me, no. And my son went like this because he knows I know how to take care of business. Fully clothed, I'm in the pool like that. And I pulled that kid out of the pool, and I sat him down beside me, and I said, you're going to sit here for 10 minutes. My son got Whaley out of the pool. Now I'm counting 5 heads in the pool because there's no Whaley I can see, right? And I'm talking to this kid. So I said to him, I saw you at soccer the other day. Didn't you get a goal? And he's like, yeah. And, he's not really into it right now. And then I said, plus we did that test together. You got 85% out of 100. Way to go, buddy. And high five, whatever. And then I said, what's your favorite video game? And I'm talking. He's getting into it. He's talking. I couldn't shut him up. 10 minutes go by, and I said, okay, 10 minutes is up. Go back in the pool and have fun. I couldn't get rid of him. He's talking. And another thing about me, right? He's talking to me. He's having a great time. He's feeling great about himself. So I kept looking over at my son like I couldn't get rid of this kid. So finally, my son got him back in the pool. They were going to play basketball. They needed two teams. So he goes back in the pool. For the rest of that afternoon, for 3 hours, Lisa, can I help you with this? I couldn't get rid of this kid. He was like my little shadow. Anyway, so finally his mom picked him up after 3 hours. And as soon as she saw him, she goes, were you as rotten as always? He kicked her in the shin, and off they went. She had her own issues. Okay, there was some stuff going on at home. But anyway, so that was that. But now I'm going to explain exactly what happened there. I explained to the boys, they were 8, by the way. If they were 3, for one thing, I wouldn't have 6 of them in the pool all by myself. But they were 8 years old, and they can understand that Whaley, it's a safety issue. I can't see behind him, so 3 kids could have drowned behind Whaley. So I explained that right at the very start. Whaley doesn't go in the pool. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I would never say, please don't take Whaley in the pool. This is a command. Like, this is a safety issue, right? It's like, do up your seatbelts, not please, can you please do up your seatbelts? It's like that, right? So anyway, then when they got in the pool and the kid brought Whaley in the pool, I didn't say, can you please take Whaley out of the pool? This is a safety issue. I said, Whaley, out of the pool now. The fewer words, the better. Silence is golden. Fewer words are better. So when he said no to me, that was my, I don't repeat myself. That was my cue to take action. I'm in the pool. I grabbed him and I took him out. All these kids knew me. They weren't afraid of me. So I took him out, sat him down, and I said, you'll sit here for 10 minutes. That's all I said. I didn't say why. Why would I not say why? He already knows. Don't go on about it. Don't go on about it. That's it. I've taken care of things. That's it. I've already disciplined. It's over. Now I'm taking that 10 minutes to bond with him. I'm building him up. I'm connecting with him. I'm increasing his self-esteem. He likes himself when he's talking to me. I'm making him feel good. That puts me in the leadership role, and it means that he's going to want to please me now. And there's no way he would have brought Whaley in the pool again. He would have been embarrassed. Now, also, when those 10 minutes was up, I didn't say, 10 minutes is up, don't take Whaley in the pool again. I would have just destroyed everything I just did with him. I would have reminded him of something rotten he did. I didn't want to embarrass the kid, right? I'm building him up. I'm not cutting him down. So anyway, he goes back in the pool. Sure enough, he said, as soon as he gets back in the pool, okay, guys, make sure no one takes Whaley in the pool. All of a sudden, he's the safety expert, you know? So I'm building him up. That's the whole point in what I teach. It's about connecting with kids, making them feel good about themselves. When they feel good about themselves when they're with you, they naturally want to please you. It makes them feel good. You're the source of their high self-esteem. You're the source of their pride because you're encouraging them to do good things, okay? You don't go on about the bad stuff. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. Oh, I can't believe I told that story again. I've told that story thousands of times. It's exhausting. It's a long story, and I always want to hit every point in it. That's what I teach. That's leadership parenting. That's leadership. Okay, you deal with bad behavior like that, get it over and done with. No shame, no blame, nothing. Get it over and done with. Have a consequence, and then bond and connect. Make them feel good about themselves. If you try and make people feel bad about themselves and shame for what they've done wrong, good luck with that. Think about it as an adult, even. Think about it. Okay. My 4-year-old is refusing to poop. So tired of, oh, okay. Common. It's usually boys, and I'll tell you why. It's often girls too, but I'll tell you why. So what you're saying is he probably does poop, but he just doesn't want to go in the toilet, right? So he holds it, I'm guessing, and refuses to poop. Yeah, okay. Really common. I'll tell you what's going on. It's in my potty training course, actually. That's a whole party. It's messy, but it's a party. Not for you, but for them. Anyway, it's a messy party. Anyway, so potty training. The reason why they don't want to poop on the toilet, there's 3 reasons. One is it might be cold. Their bum's cold. They're used to being warm inside their diaper, right? So it's all cozy and warm. The second reason is the plop back, the plop phobia. You know, when they do actually when their poop does hit the water, if they've ever done it before, they get splashback. They don't like that. They don't want that again. The reason why it's more likely to be boys that have this issue is they got more equipment hanging on down there, right? So there's more to hit. So yeah, it's usually boys that go through this. Girls too, but usually boys. The third reason is the hanging phobia, because they're used to be pooping in a smashed up environment. All of a sudden their poop's hanging there and it's pulling on their bum, right? They don't like that feeling. So here's what you do. You say, look, I fixed that, and you figure out what's going on. From now on, there won't be any pulling, there won't be any splashback, and it's going to be nice and warm. Hike up the heat in the bathroom, get a little porta potty, put a bunch of toilet paper in the bottom, so when they do sit on it, they can literally feel something touching their bum. And when they do poop, it'll hit the bottom before it's exited, if you know what I'm saying. So it kind of solves all those problems. And there's no splashback because there's no water in there. So give that a go. Years and years ago, I did a breakfast TV spot up here in Vancouver, and I was talking about potty training. And so I didn't know they were going to do this, but they literally brought a toilet onto the stage. And so my co-star on my spot, my parenting segment was a toilet. Ooh, classy lady. Struck me as funny. Okay. I don't enjoy parenting. I wish I did. A lot of my clients say the same thing. My 4-year-old son is just too much sometimes. I love him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not getting you wrong. I get it. Don't get me wrong. Just lost, I guess. Yeah, a lot of my clients, I've even had some of them sobbing, saying, I wish I'd never had my kids. They're just destroying my life. So, and these are highly educated, very successful people, but parenting is ruining them. You are not alone. That's why they hire me. Now, you might want to check out my boot camp course. It teaches you how to get organized and how to start having fun with your kids too, okay? Because it's 5 weeks. It's all about you and your leadership and connecting with your kids. You might want to check that out. If you're really in what I call the red zone, you're really, really struggling, you might want to look into coaching, okay? That boot camp course only goes from 3 to 12 years old. Teenagers is all coaching. I specialize in teenagers. That's all coaching or red zone stuff. And a lot of clients just want the one-on-one, right? So check it out. I don't have time to take everyone on. I haven't answered those emails in a while. Couple days, or yesterday, I don't think I did. Anyway, if I don't answer your email about coaching, it just means I don't have any spots open. Okay. So I'll get to you eventually, though. You're all in a queue. So I'll get to you in a queue. And also, someone was complaining to me last week, I think it was, that they said, well, my friend and I both wanted to get coaching and my friend got it and I didn't. It was the age of the kids. I try and mix it up. So just for my own sanity, I like to have a bunch of different ages. Victoria McNeil. I'm losing control by telling my 3-year-old, I'm going to call grandma if you continue to do this. Yeah, you don't want to do that forever. Check out the boot camp course. It'll teach you how to be in charge instead of grandma. So check it out. That's the boot camp course, or just the behavior board. The behavior board is completely free. So it goes behavior board, boot camp course, coaching. So check out the behavior board. It's completely free. A lot of parents get results doing that. A lot of parents just have been following me for a couple of years or whatever, and they don't even buy anything, but they're getting results just watching these videos. So of course, if you buy a course or hire me, you're going to get faster results, but yeah, you don't have to buy anything if you don't want to. Obviously, I'm not in sales. That's okay. My son is 2 and tantrums when he doesn't get his way. Do I ignore him or redirect him? I have a whole course on tantrums. Basically, it's like this. When a kid's having a tantrum, you're filing your nails, waiting. It's like you're waiting for a bus. You don't look at them or talk to them. As soon as they're done, oh, you all done? Okay, you want to read a book? Okay, you just ignore the tantrum. If they're getting violent, you physically restrain them. You still don't look at them or talk to them. You're sending the message that gets no attention. They do it for attention. Kids don't tantrum all by themselves in a room. They want an audience. And if they're not getting it, but you don't leave them, you're standing right there. Don't look on your phone. I think that's dismissive. But you're just standing there like you're waiting for a bus. You might want to look at the trees. Don't say anything. Don't look at them. You're just waiting. It looks like you're waiting for a bus. Couldn't be more bored. You're just calm as anything. As soon as they're done, oh, okay, y'all done? You want to go read a book? So you ignore the crazy and reward the calm. You do not need to validate any emotions or feelings in regard to a tantrum. That's ludicrous. Don't get me started. Do not get me started on that. A tantrum is just a loss of emotional control at not getting what they want, when they want, and how they want it. They need to learn how to process that all by themselves. Do not interfere in that. Don't discuss it. Allow their brain to process, hey, I don't get everything my own way. The more you get involved in that, the worse it gets. That's that pleaser parent style. All these mini therapy sessions with toddlers, it's absolute garbage. It's ridiculous. I saw that coming 40 years ago. I saw that coming. It started with participation awards. The stupidest thing I ever heard of. You just turn up and you get an award? How dumb is that? You don't have to earn anything. You're so entitled and precious. You just turn up and get an award. I went to the supermarket yesterday. I turned up. No one gave me an award. It's crazy, crazy. Anyway. Do you use the same few consequences? Yeah, it only needs to be 2. The first one is do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. And then if they won't do that, then you can do 24-hour media blackout. You can mix it up. There's a lot of different ways of doing it, but you can just do it that way to keep it simple. Okay, if you're doing it on your own, just keep it simple. In coaching, I mix it up a lot more, do a lot of weirder stuff, but don't worry about that. Just keep it simple if you're doing this without me, like without coaching. And don't get caught up in the consequences. It doesn't matter what it is, so long as it's something they don't like and it's a productive, like a helpful thing. So it's usually do a chore. Don't get caught up in that. That's not what it's about. It's not, people think that if I just get that right consequence, it'll solve all my problems. It's about your calmness and your consistency in following through. What it is doesn't matter. It's the fact that you follow through and you're consistent 100% of the time. The reason why my kids never acted out is I was 100% predictable. I never missed a beat. I was right there. So they knew. I didn't miss anything. So they knew 100% of the time what I was going to do. Why on earth would they ask for anything if they knew the answer would be no? because they would never ask for anything ridiculous, right? If they asked for something, it made sense. But if it was something stupid, like they would never have asked, because they knew I would have gone, what, are you kidding me with this? That's what my mother would have done. What, are you kidding me with this? What are you talking about? And I would have been embarrassed. Okay, and that behavior board takes about 30 minutes to arrive. It's a third-party delivery system in the company I've got. Anyway, so don't email me. I didn't get it. It takes about 30 minutes. You know how many emails I get when people tell me they didn't get the behavior board? I don't answer them anymore because I know they're just waiting. I do that too, by the way. I'll sign up for something and it doesn't appear right away, and I'm like, I didn't get it. So I do it too. How do I introduce the behavior board to him? It's all explained in there. Okay, this is Mirjana Stefanovic. Okay, how do you get a 3.5-year-old to fall asleep by herself at nighttime and no night wakes, screaming multiple times, please? That's the Bedtime Battles course. It's in 2 parts. It's in the link above. It's a mini course. It's 2 to 8 years old. And it's how to get them in bed is the first part. That's the easy part. The hard part is how to keep them there. And it goes into great detail how you do that. It's a hell of a night. It's rough. Might even go 2 or 3 nights. Depends on where you're at with leadership and how good you are at implementing this. It's usually 1 night of sheer hell. The worse that first night is, the less likely they are to get up future nights. You got to be willing to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone, well, how do we do all this without a scene? Their scenes, their fits, their tantrums, their meltdowns is them processing you taking charge. It's them processing not getting their own way all the time. So don't interfere with that. Allow that to happen. Whenever, like that kid that I often talk about this, I was asked to work with this 8-year-old little boy. And he said, he didn't know me. And he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. Just like that. Did he have a fit? Nope. He was like, oh, she knows what she's doing. Yeah. Don't ever be afraid of that. If you're afraid of that, they've got you by the knackers and they know it. So yeah, I was hoping he'd have a fit because then I could really exercise my leadership. Behind every fit, scene, tantrum, meltdown, there's a lesson. If you interfere in that, they're not going to learn anything. Allow them to have these scenes. That's them processing. Things are changing. You're taking charge. By the way, all children need, crave, and want a leader. They just look like they don't, but they genuinely want that. That kid backed down really quickly and was really easy with me because it's almost like the more difficult they are, when they do come up against a calm leader, it's almost like this. They almost go, oh, finally. That's what they've been screaming for all along. All children instinctively need, crave, and want a leader. Without that, if you're not a leader at home and you send them out in the world to school, whatever, they're going to be very vulnerable to peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. You get the idea. Oops, I'm late. I've got to go over to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. And I'm on YouTube the whole time. If you want to check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Okay, happy parenting. I'm hopping over to Instagram now. I went long. I'm 2 minutes late. I do this all the time. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's see now. YouTube. I already answered your question, D. Silva. My kids were born and raised in Australia. So, and I have quite a few clients who are Australian. And I love talking to my Australian clients, especially about baby stuff, because all of my baby lingo is Australian. It's nappies, cots, prams. You know, I had to change it all now that I'm in Canada again. I've had to change it all for North America. Sorry, I'm just reading comments. I like to mix up the ages too. So if I see a lot of repetition in the questions, I'll kind of skip over that. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. By the way, if you are new here, welcome. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. And if you look in the link above, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you and your leadership. Or you can look into coaching. I can't take everyone on. I'm super busy these days. But you can look into coaching and you're in a queue. So I'll get to you when I can. Anyway, okay, let's get going with your questions. Should I wait until my son speaks to potty train? No, 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 no. They don't go hand in hand. Just because they're not speaking doesn't mean they don't understand. So 2.5 is when I recommend potty training. Some kids are ready before, some kids are ready after. I think I could have trained my daughter at 2, but I just made the choice. I just wanted to make sure it was done over a weekend. I trained my son in 1 day and my daughter in 2 days. And no pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. I waited till they were good and ready. And I don't think my daughter was taught. My son talked really early. But I don't think my daughter was talking a lot at 2. But yeah, just because they're not talking doesn't mean they don't know what you're doing. Okay. 7-year-old comes home from school and won't put away jacket and knapsack, even when I tell her to what to do. Telling a child to do something it's not the way I go about it. I would just put down a rule. Say, from now on, I want you to put all your stuff away after school. If not, there's a consequence. That's your choice. That's it. Use a behavior board, put it on there, follow after school routine, and have it all written out. And then if they don't do it, there's a consequence. I used to tell my kids, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. I said, but there'll be a consequence if you don't choose the right thing. So they just understood that. So I never told them what to do. They just understood right from wrong, and they just did right. Because if they did wrong, I'd go, oh, that was an interesting choice. Okay, now you can mop the floor. So they just, oh, mom, oh, okay. They just sort of took it because they understood it was all up to them. The more you tell them what to do, the more resentment and this that you're building up, right? They're going to fight you back. My kids had nothing to fight against. My son was 15 and he said to me, I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. And I'm like, ooh, that's too bad. Sorry about that. So yeah, I never really told my kids what to do. They just knew what had to be done. And if they chose not to do it, there's a consequence. Easy. That's what I teach. Okay. So why are you telling her what to do? She already knows what to do. Where's the consequence if she doesn't do it? Get the behavior board. It's completely free. It's in the link above. If you want to go to the next level up, that's the boot camp course. Okay. Teaches you how to do all this stuff. There's a ton of extra stuff in there too. It goes for 5 weeks. It's an online course, but also I did a bunch of group coaching sessions. I only did that as a one-off, and I put those in the course. So you'll see other parents asking very similar questions to you. You're not alone. And it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes parents will say, well, I didn't want to tell you that because I was embarrassed. I'm like, oh, geez, it's week 3 and you chose now to tell me. There's no judgment here. If you're hiring me or if you're doing the course or whatever, there's no judgment. Do you know how hard it is to parent if you've never parented before? It's the hardest job in the world with the least amount of training, and everyone expects you to be an expert. The thing is, parenting was easier back 100 years ago. The bar was very low. Parents didn't care what kind of parent they were. They just raised kids, right? It's just the way it was. Also, there was a village raising kids. Nowadays, you're isolated, you're on your own, and there's all this judgment. Everyone wants to be a perfect parent. There is no such thing. We're all going to mess up. We're not perfect human beings. It's not about being perfect. It's about doing a pretty good job and showing your children that you are human. You make mistakes just like they do. Okay, but it's not a matter of not making mistakes. It's when you do make a mistake, you're accountable for it. You say, yeah, I messed up. Okay, how about we play hide and seek? You make it up to them. How do you deal with a 5-year-old screaming at the top of his lungs when mad? Yeah, that's a learned behavior. Past the age of 4, they only do what works. So he has no respect for you. If he's acting like that, work on your leadership skills. His behavior, that's in the attitude department. You can't put that down as a rule. Screaming, anything vocal, you can't put down as a rule unless they're name calling or swearing. But if it's just yelling, then you can't put that down. No, I'm not accepting new clients right now. I might be able to tonight. But yeah, if you apply for coaching, look into it first. If you apply for coaching, you're in a queue. So I will get to you in a queue. But I sometimes hire out of that queue depending on the ages. And also I take crisis work first. That's often teenage stuff. What was I talking about before I started yabbering? 5-year-old screaming at the top of his lungs. Work on your leadership skills, and then that will organically change. Once he starts to respect you, he won't be screaming anymore, okay? He's only doing it because he didn't respect you. Work on your leadership skills. You got to work for this. You got to earn this. I worked my butt off. I've worked with hundreds of kids, and I worked my butt off to get respect. You got to earn it. You got to work for it. Anything worthwhile is worked for. I said one day, I love working. I love my job. And so I was saying on here, I said, I'd hate to just win lotto because I haven't earned it. And then I said, well, that's a lie. It would be fun to win lotto, wouldn't it? So, I don't even know why I said that. No, I wouldn't want to win lotto. That was a lie. Well, I never win because I never buy tickets. So, okay. My 3-year-old has started saying, I don't care. I've already answered that one. Were you on Facebook? Ignore it. It isn't working. Yeah, you just don't have a whole system in place. Check out the behavior board. That's a system. You got to get, just ignoring something. You got to get more of a package going. There's other stuff you got to surround ignoring with. You don't just ignore everything. You got to deal with stuff too. It's a whole package. You might want to check out the boot camp course. It's a whole package. It teaches you how to do stuff from A to B to C. It's step by step, week by week. It's all paced out. Now that's paced out over 5 weeks. You can elongate it by a week or two. Don't try and shorten it. Don't try and fast track that because you're changing who you are as a parent. So it takes time, right? So yeah, check into that. I don't understand this at all. My 9-year-old feels cornered when being made fun of, then throws a tantrum still when I try to pull him away. Who's making fun of your 9-year-old? I don't understand that. Are you making fun of him? And then throws a tantrum still when I try to pull him away? I don't know context around that. What happens if a child doesn't follow through with the consequence? That's on the board. There's 2 consequences for the kids. The first one is a positive action. If they won't do it, then you do the negative deprivation. You take something away. That's why that second one is there. So, hey, the first consequence is you have to wash the window. If you don't do it, so they say, no, I'm not going to do it. 15 minutes. You always time everything. 15 minutes is up. You didn't do it. Okay, 24-hour media blackout starts now. Fine, I'll wash the window now. Too late. 24-hour media blackout already started. But I didn't know. Oh, you'll know next time, won't you? Follow through. You got to be, it's almost like you're walking into a storm. You got to be willing to go through that. You got to be willing for them to have a fit when you take charge. They're going to do it. Usually gets worse before it gets better. You're shaking things up. All of a sudden, they can't manipulate you anymore. And if they're used to doing it, the older they get, the harder this is because they're used to manipulating you. All of a sudden, they can't do that. And they're going to fight because they remember the old you. Seriously, thank you for working your butt off. Yeah, I did. So much of your stories have helped me and my hubby in supporting my son in his toddler years. Excellent. Yeah, I really did work my butt off. I did all volunteer work for decades. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. And I remember the daycare ladies asked me, how do you do that? They want to be with you, but they're good for you. I didn't know how to answer that. I knew leadership back then. I understood kids even back then. I was 11. So who does that? 11 years old. Anyway, so I've been volunteering with troubled teenagers. I've been in hospitals. I've been in detention centers. I've been in psych wards working with kids and teenagers. And I've just worked my butt off trying to figure kids out. And I do specialize in crisis work, but now I'm just mainstreaming, trying to prevent all that stuff for you. Okay. My favorite age is teenagers by far. They taught me more about patience, tolerance, understanding than anybody ever has. I didn't know I had that much patience. Okay. Okay, 4-year-old daughter's acting like a baby because baby brother's coming along soon. Okay, it's usually just a stage that they go through, but also what kind of parent are you? Do you feel like you're a leader? If not, that kind of stuff just doesn't generally happen. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of residual stuff that just sort of sneaks in if you're not a leader. So work on your leadership skills. Remember, leaders inspire children to make good choices, and they make them feel good about themselves. They give kids pride in themselves, because if you're not giving your kids anything to be proud of, where's their self-esteem? Don't just say you're wonderful, you're special, and they haven't even, they're acting out. Parents tend to overpraise, and yeah, you want to encourage them to make good choices. Whoops, sorry, something just disconnected. I got so many screens going on here. Okay, tips for transitioning out of crib to floor bed. Okay. When did I do this with my own kids? I waited till they flopped on the floor. So as soon as they hit the floor, that was it. I dismantled the cot or the crib, whatever you call it, and just put the mattress on the ground and put pillows around it before we got the real bed set up. And then even when we didn't put it up in the bed we just put the mattress down on the floor first. And anyway, so yeah, as soon as they flop out of the crib, that's when I transition them. So then I did bedtime battles to keep them in bed, because you want, and don't lock them in a room. You want them to be able to get out. Check out my course. It's called Bedtime Battles. It's not about transitioning from, it's once they can't be in a crib to do this. They have to be able to get up and walk out to do Bedtime Battles course. 2 to 8 years old. It teaches you how to keep them in bed. So yeah, often they get that freedom and they're like, ooh, I can just wander around and do whatever I want all night long. Five-year-old girl listens well, but lately acting out. Does this mean I need more time with her just to connect? I don't know what's going on. If they don't usually start acting out at 5. So I don't know what's going on with her. I'd have to assess that, but I don't know. 5-year-old refuses to go to school with mom, but not with papa. Oh, that's a good one. You know what I say to that? Tough luck, you're stuck with me. And just take them to school. Don't give in to it. She's just doing that. I want this. I want you now and you now. She's testing you. Am I in charge or are you in charge? It's like when they say, well, she'll only go to bed for me, not dad. So I would say you send dad in there. And when they're acting out, say, well, you're stuck with me. There's no way I would have gone in there. If my kids had done that with their father and said, I want mommy, because when they're past a certain age, they're okay. And they love their dad. So I would have just said to him, you just say, mom's not coming. You're stuck with me. And they go, oh, okay. Or I probably would have yelled it out. You're stuck with dad. I'm not coming down there. And they would have got, oops, okay. Yeah, it's just a test. They're like, am I in charge here? And they don't really want to be in charge. Every troubled teen I've ever worked with has said this to me in different ways, but they've all said, I wish my parents had been tougher on me growing up. They know, they equate discipline with love. This is love. This stuff, they get that. They don't want it now. Teenagers don't want to be disciplined now, but they identify that the reason why they're struggling with their parents now is because their parents didn't love them enough to discipline them when they were growing up. That's what they've all told me. It's interesting, isn't it? Discipline is not about hitting and yelling. Discipline is about teaching them right from wrong and encouraging them to have pride in themselves, have pride in their own behavior and who they are as people. My son was in grade 2 and the teacher said to him, why are you so nice? And he looked up at her and he goes, Mommy makes us be nice. He was proud of himself. Yeah, I made them be nice. That was my job. It's my job to send polite, nice kids to school and out there in the world. Okay, 16-year-old daughter doesn't care about consequences. Yeah, she does. You just haven't found them yet. Vaping, lying, and in trouble all the time. That's coaching. You'd have to hire me for that. I'd have to, yeah, that's all coaching. I can't answer that now. You got to work on your relationship. We wouldn't even get into the vaping and all that other stuff she's doing until probably week 3 in coaching. The first 2 weeks are bonding with her, figuring out what's going on and teaching you how to start talking to her effectively. So if you're interested, I don't sell it very well, do I? I actually don't have time to take more people on right now. I don't think. I'd have to check into it. But yeah, if you want it coaching, you'd have to apply for it. And if I have time, then I'll sign you up. Usually I'll take on teenagers in trouble though, because that's sort of my specialty. And that's sort of, like if I had 5 people who wanted to sign up for coaching and 4 of them had teenagers, I'd probably take those 4 because they haven't got much time left to get this stuff sorted out, right? And the problems are usually bigger with older kids. I got a ton of teenagers on my client list right now. So I do like to mix it up with younger ones when possible. Oh, so I just panicked. I was worried I was going to be late. I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. And I'm usually running a couple minutes late because I don't like to set the timer because Alexa just, I don't like her calling out when I'm doing this. What to do? Oh, such a good question. I've answered this a few times now, and you're going to hate my answer because it doesn't seem to make any sense, but it does. This is from Rebecca Thompson on YouTube. What to do for a tantrum on an airplane? There's no way I would because I always say you ignore a tantrum and just stand there filing your nails, wait for them to stop, right? There's no way I would put a restaurant through that or an airplane through that. What I would do is I'd give, in a restaurant, I'd take them out. But on an airplane, I would give them whatever they want just to stop the tantrum. I would do whatever they want because there's no way I would put a plane load full of people through a tantrum. I just think that's so awful. So yeah, I would give them whatever they want. And they equate that with the plane. They don't expect to get that same behavior anywhere else. They just learn. So yeah, every time we're on a plane, I can get whatever I want. Well, you don't tend to do that a lot anyway, right? They don't usually live on planes. Is it okay to give into a tantrum where the toddler is screaming and begging for hugs? That's not a love hug. That's a validate me. I want attention hug for what I'm doing wrong. So yeah, I never hug a kid having a tantrum. If they're trying to hug me, I might go, "You're all right," and just pat them on the back and then just go back to doing whatever, washing dishes or whatever. But yeah, I would never hug during a tantrum. It's not a love hug. It is just a please validate me and say it's okay to be doing this. You see, they're trying to pull you into the tantrum. They're trying to make you a part of it. Yeah, you're all right. Okay. Peel them off. You're okay. And then look like you're distracted doing something else. Yeah. It's not hard to ignore when you get good at it. The reason is that when you get good at this stuff, the tantrums start to diminish and you go, ooh, that wasn't so hard after all. It's hard in the short term, but you're going for the long term here. I always say you got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Okay, at what age? Oh, this is such a good question. You're going to hate my answer, though. This says, it's magic. Okay, can't read that. At what age do babies and kids understand the word no? They understand that at about 1 to 1.5 years old. Understanding does not prevent them from doing something bad. They understand right from wrong at a very, very young age. It's a loss of control or a lack of control that makes them do the bad thing, that makes them choose the wrong thing. It's not an understanding. It's they just haven't got the control yet over their brain, that impulse control, right? That's the frontal lobe where you can actually stop and think before you act and stop yourself. They don't have that when they're little. Okay, so understanding right from wrong does not stop them from choosing wrong. Does that make sense? It's not understanding. It's the lack of impulse control that makes them do the wrong thing. So the only thing to do with children about 16 months to 35 months is consistent corrective actions, because they learn through repetition. You might have to do something like you take away the fun or remove them from the fun for just a minute or two. That's the action. It's got to be fast, though. They got to connect it with what they just did. They can't throw a toy and then 5 minutes later you go and take it away. It's got to be right in the moment. But yeah, they understand it. This is what a lot of people, this is where all these mini therapy sessions are such garbage. You know, it hurts me when you do that. And you should, all those therapy sessions discussing all the big feelings and big emotions, it's absolute garbage. They don't care. They're not listening. They'll repeat it. They'll parrot you. But the odds of them not doing that again are slim to none. So yeah, it goes in here and out there. And they're looking at you. I know it hurts. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. They go right back and do it. And you're like, what? I just explained it to them. Yeah. Makes perfect sense to me because I understand toddlers. Of course they're going to do it again. All you did was give them a therapy session. They don't relate to that. Okay, you are incredible and you've helped me a lot. Thank you. Appreciate that. I wouldn't have read that out if I knew it was just a compliment to me. Thank you. Okay, my 11-year-old is being really mean to his brother lately and disrespectful to me. How can I help him with the anger? Okay, there's so many directions I could go in with this. I would put down use the behavior board. It's completely free in the link above, or you can look into the boot camp course. Anyway, I would put down, don't stop being mean to your brother. And then you write down he's 11. So in brackets, I would say, I will decide when that occurs. So he can't argue it. Okay. So, because it is kind of a hard thing to say, you know what I mean? Like you just say, I will decide. So in other words, I'm taking charge of this. Every time he's mean to his brother, really mean to his brother. Okay, I'm assuming the brother's younger. This only works if the brother's younger. Then the brother gets to play. If he's mean to his younger brother gets to play with his favorite activity for 15 minutes without him. Okay, that one is one of the most effective consequences out there. Yeah, you do something mean to someone, you have to do something nice for them. That can be hard to do, though. Okay. 2-year-old hits his head when you tell him no and he gets mad. Yeah, they're going to do that. That's just 2-year-olds. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. You just physically restrain them when they're getting violent. These are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is you enter their world to connect with them. You don't connect with them at the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, this is under the age of 3, you do so in their world. Their world is about actions, not words. All these mini therapy sessions, they're just garbage, they're absolute crap. Drives me nuts because I see it all the time. It's so stupid. Anyway, it's just, parents mean well, but having a therapy session with a 2-year-old, it just makes no sense at all. And number 5, and I know people are teaching it, but I don't know who's out there teaching it, but I know they are. Anyway, it's wrong. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. They just haven't got stuff figured out yet. They're brand new. Okay. Okay. This is such a simple answer. My 3-year-old keeps learning bad behavior from others. That's all we need to hear. If you're a leader, that doesn't work because they're looking to you, not the others. When you're a leader, they're not vulnerable to bullies, peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians, because they always look to you. They just look to the leader. So you're not a leader. If they don't look to other people for their behavior guidance, they look to you. So work on your leadership skills. They're just going to want to please you. It's just the way it is. You're like a mentor to them. They look up to you. They like you. They love you. You guide them. You make them feel good about themselves. So they're not susceptible to that. So work on your leadership skills. So I'm skipping ahead to make sure people are here when I answer. So after age 3, what changes with how you approach 4-year-old tantrums? By the age of 3 years and 9 months and 4, they only do what works. If they're still having tantrums at 4, it means they must be working. Okay, so that means you must be getting upset. That to them is working. They're getting under your skin. So I don't know what you mean by what changes. Just check out the behavior board. Tantrums. Okay, there is a tantrum course, but it's 1 and 3-year-olds. It doesn't really go into 4. If they're still having tantrums at 4, it's a tell. It means you're not a leader. They will have tantrums anyway up until about 3.5, even if you're a leader, because they just lose this emotional control, right? So, but past the age of 3 years and 9 months, especially, if they're still having tantrums, work on your leadership skills. And just check out the boot camp course. It's completely free. It explains how you get started with all this. It's a big process. There's a lot of stuff involved in this. It's not just a quick answer. Oh, look at me. I haven't been coughing hardly at all. I've had this cold for 3 weeks. Finally coming out the other end. I'm not a parent, but this stuff is fascinating. How can I support as an uncle when I visit? I don't discuss uncling, aunting, grandparenting. I only discuss parenting because your role is not parenting, right? I teach parenting. So yeah, I don't discuss all that other stuff at all. Like I'm a grandmother. None of my business how my kids parent, and I never say anything. Why would I? They're doing a great job and it's none of my business. So yeah, none of my business. If they ever ask me for advice, I'd give it, but yeah, they kind of already know what I do anyway. So, but yeah, and yeah, I don't teach anything else. I get approached by a lot of schools wanting, to give courses and that to schools. I don't do that because I don't know anything about schools. I only teach parenting. That's personal. School is a business. It's different. You don't treat your students the same way you treat your children. Some stuff crosses over, but a lot doesn't. That's why a huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I can't do their jobs. Those are different. Those are businesses. They're institutions. I teach parenting. It's personal. It's completely different. Yeah, some stuff crosses over, but it's a whole different mindset. Those are your children. They're going to be with you for life. You want to build this really strong bond with them for life. Yeah, it's different. It's just different. "13-year-old in a toxic relationship." So they've got a boyfriend or girlfriend. They're in a toxic relationship. I don't really want to tell you what I generally do with that because I don't know the whole story. I need a lot of context around that. If you want my help with that, you'd have to look into coaching. And I can't take everyone on. There's a wait list, but you can apply for coaching if you're interested. What is a characteristic of being a leader? Is it more follow through or does it have to do with connection? It's 100% connection. The discipline is a tiny, maybe 0.01%. It's connection. For sure, connection. You want to be a safe place to land. You want to learn how to listen, understand, and show empathy, not listen to gather information to lecture with. You want to give them a voice. You want them to feel heard. Like if I messed up, oh, my kids loved it. If I was late or forgot to do something I promised I was going to do, they were all over that. Mom, you were late. You hate it when we're late. So they couldn't wait. So they had a voice, and that's connection. That's connection. You don't want obedient soldiers, right? You want kids with high self-esteem and who are respectful to themselves and other people. How do you help a 5-year-old with low self-esteem? When you're a leader, they tend to have high self-esteem. It's just the way it is. So work on your leadership skills. It all starts and ends with you. When they are 3 to 12 years old, all of their behavior is a direct result of your parenting. Their self-esteem is connected in with that. So that's your power as a leader, 3 to 12. Under the age of 3, they're kind of nuts anyway. And teenagers, they're going to be more their own leaders, and you're just there for the big stuff. Don't micromanage teenagers. Anyway, I'm heading over to, where am I going? TikTok now. Am I on Instagram? 5:30. Yeah, I am. Anyway, I'm going over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I have a wait list for that if you're interested, because I can't take everyone on right away. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I'm going over to TikTok. Happy parenting. Bye now. Whoops. Yeah, that's right. There we go. Okay, how do I stop my 2-year-old from throwing food? That's actually an easy one. Don't give them a lot of food to start with, and as soon as they throw it, you pick it up, throw it in the garbage, and you say no, and they already know that anyway. Pick it up, throw it in the garbage, and then you hand feed them. They're going to go, no, 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 and you say, okay, you're all done, then wipe them up and put them down, no more food. 30 minutes later, try it again. Give them a little bit of food, and then hand feed them if they throw it, and they'll eventually learn. If they're hungry enough, they'll eat. And then some parents say, well, they love it when I hand feed them, and I don't want to be doing that all the time. I got another answer for you there. You get really dumb and slow with it. So if they love being hand fed, and you don't want to hand feed a 2-year-old, so then you just get real dumb and slow with it. You go, oh, I dropped it. Oh, and they're like this, and you're like, oh, I forgot to do that. Oh, I got to get the laundry out. Don't look like you're doing it on purpose. Just get real dumb and slow with it, and they'll eventually just take the spoon and feed themselves. That's the idea. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to work on this stuff. It takes time, but it's worth it. Okay, welcome. I'm on TikTok now. I just came from Instagram, and right before that, I was on Facebook. I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where I save all my lives. I've been doing this for 2 years now. I was doing it every single day, and I just don't have time to do that all the time. I'm probably on here 5 days a week now, doing lives. And this is one of my regularly scheduled ones. I only have 2 regularly scheduled lives per week. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm just here answering your parenting questions and adding a bunch of other stuff in, hopefully. And if you go in the link above, there's only one link there. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I have a wait list for coaching because I'm busy, so I don't have time to take everyone on right now, but you'll end up in a queue for coaching. Anyway, so let's get going with your parenting questions. And I'm just going to throw something in. I like to throw stuff in every so often. This is for all people, adults and everyone. It's how to apologize effectively. A lot of adults don't know how to do this. They say one word. They can do anything. I killed your whole family. Sorry. You're not very forgiving. This word sorry is so overused. It's like a scapegoat. You can do anything and just say sorry, and that's all over. It's ridiculous. This is how you apologize. It's what I taught my kids. It's what I did with my kids. And what I do with everybody else. There's 4 steps to a proper apology. You want to teach your kids this. It's about accountability and respect for other people. The first step is say you're sorry. I don't really care about that empty word, but it just gets the ball rolling. The second step is you take full accountability. You say, sorry, it was all my fault. I shouldn't have done that. Don't say, I wouldn't have done it if you hadn't done that. So a lot of people switch it around and blame the other person. And then the third step is make amends. Say, what can I do to make it up to you? And then offer something. Hey, I'm sorry I was late for the movie. How about I buy the popcorn tonight? Big deal. The last one is really important too. Don't keep doing it. And that whole apology meant nothing. If you keep doing the same thing to people, they're not going to believe anything you say. 4 steps to an apology. Do you offer any classes? Yeah, I have my boot camp course. And that's it. I have 4 mini toddler courses. If you look above, you'll see all my courses. But I don't have any one-on-one classes except one-on-one coaching. So if you want that, you have to look into it. There's a wait list for that. I'm starting to lose my voice again. Oh, see, you get the worst of me on TikTok because you're the last stop. I start with my smallest platform and go to my biggest one, which is TikTok. So I'm losing my voice now. By the way, learning how to get respect and set yourself up as a leader is really hard work. Once you're there, it's a piece of cake. Getting respect is hard. Maintaining it's easy. It's like the way I clean. I never clean dirty. I maintain clean. I'm always cleaning every day, like just a little bit. And I never make a mess. So it's kind of like that. Maintaining stuff is a lot easier. I wish I could say the same about my bookkeeping. I wait till it's a disaster and then I do it over a weekend crying and overeating. So I'm not good with everything, but I'm very good with parenting and cleaning. But anyway, so yeah. Would you say your techniques work in a classroom setting? Absolutely not. No, not everything crosses over. That's an institution. It's a business. Parenting is personal. It's home-based. It's completely different. Some stuff does cross over. I can help you understand kids, but you can't. I teach parenting. So I get approached by a lot of schools. They want me to come in or just teach them, I just don't do that because I don't know anything. I couldn't do your job. I think parenting's hard, but I think teaching is harder. But a huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists, but I only talk about parenting with them. Yeah. So like a very good example of what doesn't cross over is reward charts for good behavior. They work beautifully in a classroom. It's not personal. They don't take offense to it. It's not pointing the finger and saying they're bad because all 30 kids are in on it, right? It's different. So reward charts for good behavior at school, it's a good thing. At home, it's a total disaster. I would never use a reward chart for good behavior at home. You know what you're saying to your child? This is the message you're sending. You're saying you're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, you'll get a gold star. See, it's horrible. A behavior board says you're normally wonderful. If you should happen to do something rotten, I know how to deal with it. Okay, see the difference? See the message you're sending? So that's a very good example of what works at school and what doesn't work at home. So you got power struggles with your 4-year-old. That's not your 4-year-old's fault. That's you. You take full responsibility for your 4-year-old power struggles. It just says you're not a leader. He's only 4. He's this big. You can lead him. You can do this. Okay. That's all I teach here is leadership. Check out my boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you. It goes from 3 to 12 years old. And it's all about you and your leadership. You lead, they will follow. They instinctively want a leader. They do. They just do. Even I've worked with troubled teens. Even they want that. Okay. They want someone to make them feel good about themselves. They want someone to look up to. They just do. It's an instinct. We all kind of are drawn to a mentor. You ever had anyone that you look up to, someone that makes you feel good about yourself? Would you treat them poorly or would you treat them well? Someone who makes you feel good about yourself. That's all I do here. When I'm working with kids, my goal was always to make them feel good about themselves. That's the pool story. That's the first video in TikTok here. It's called Example of Leadership Parenting, and it's the pool story. What's the focus in that? You've probably all seen it by now. What's the focus in that? Is it about the discipline or is it about bonding, connecting with? Did that kid feel he did something dumb? He did something bad? How did he end up feeling about himself when I was done with him? He felt like $1,000,000. He was all over me. Couldn't do enough to please me. That's what I teach. So yeah, if you're struggling with your kids, work on yourself. Take full responsibility for their behavior. Between the ages of 3 and 12 years old, their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. That's when you're at the height of your leadership. That's why my boot camp course goes from 3 to 12 years old. That's the height of your leadership power. Utilize it. Don't waste it. You've got it. It's not about discipline. It's not about obedient little soldiers. That's not what you're after. You want to connect with your kids, make them feel good about themselves, and they're just going to want to please you. They'd be embarrassed to disappoint you. How to help with a child when their parent just died. Yeah, I do that grief stuff in coaching too. So yeah, it's just tip. I lost my dad when I was 14. It was hell. I've been through stuff. I've had a miscarriage. I've had heart surgery. Nothing matched what I went through at 14 when I lost my father. It was a long goodbye over years of cancer. It was hell. So I know all about that. I know all about grief. You want to make an open conversation. Secrets imply shame. So you want to make sure that there's an open door to discuss everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, leave it open. Also, I didn't know anyone else who lost a parent. I found that really difficult. I always felt so isolated. No one else understood. They were complaining about their dads. Oh, he won't let me do this. And I thought, I would love it if I had a dad around. You know what I mean? Like they were, and if you can get your kids to connect with someone else who's also lost their father, someone they can relate to, that would have been a huge help to me. I felt so alone. And no one wanted to be near me. I remember the first couple of weeks after my dad died, I was in grade 9 and I went back to school and I'd walk down the hall and the hallways emptied. No one wanted to face me. They didn't know what to say to me. It was so isolating. It was horrendous. It was the worst thing I ever went through. Yeah, so I know all about it. So try to find someone else, another kid who's gone through it. There's all sorts of, there's places you can find kids like that, evidently. So, and then just make sure everything's open conversation. Don't you don't have to say you want to talk about it, but just make sure that they know that they can tell you anything. It's tough. It's really tough. It's hell. Yeah. My mom died 8 years ago today. She was 93. It was a beautiful goodbye. There's no pain involved in that. She was 93. She had dementia. She died in my arms. It was beautiful. There's no pain with that. It's just a natural progression. She was 93, but my dad, he was younger. It was just tragic. It was horrendous. And I was just a kid. It's the age I lost him at that was so horrible. You're forming. That's your father, it was horrendous. Yeah. Tell you a cute story. When my mom died in my arms, thank God I was there. I got there just as she was dying. And the doctor said, she can't feel you or see you, but she can hear you. So I thought, okay, good. And she still knew, she had dementia, but she still knew who everyone was. Thank God. We never lost that. Anyway, my mom and I, we were best friends, and we laughed a lot. We always said, on your deathbed, we'll have nothing left to say, because every single day we said how much we loved each other. Everything had already been said a million times over. I was 55. She was 93. So she's in my arms and she's dying. And I said, and she was gasping. They only breathe like every 20 seconds or something. And it's a gasp. So sorry if I'm being graphic, but it's just the way they die. So I'm holding her and I said, Mom, you're right. I have nothing left to say. And she double gasped. That was a laugh. She laughed as she's dying. She just laughed. I just thought that was beautiful. As she's dying, her last breath was a laugh. And I knew it was. I talked to the doctor about it too. And yeah, it was interesting. So you're right, Mom. I have nothing left to say. It's funny. Well, not funny, but you know what I mean. You never know when you're going to lose someone. So really appreciate them. There is nothing left. Like everyone I love knows how they feel about how I feel about them. There's no regrets. I make sure I've got that all covered. No regrets with relationships. Okay, how to co-parent smoothly when we aren't on good terms? I don't know how to answer that, because how do you co-parent smoothly if you're not on good terms? You don't have to be friends. My ex and I were never friends, but we went everywhere together with the kids. We still turned up to everything. We still spent Christmases together. We got a grandchild together now. There's no issues. We never argued or anything. We just were always on the same page with the kids. You take the high road and hopefully they'll join you there one day. So just say, look, can we just get along and turn up to places for the kids' sake? People didn't even know we were separated because we still went everywhere together with the kids at school functions and that. So it's really important to be a united front. You don't have to be together to be a united front. By the way, the kids don't care if you're together. They just care that you get along. Yeah. So you try and take the high road. Eventually it might work. If not, the kids see you taking the high road. That's the important part. Not that the other person might not ever take the high road, but you want your kids to see you taking the high road. Luckily, both my ex and I, we both took the high road. Yeah. I always say, love your kids more than they hate each other. I didn't hate him. I don't think he hated me either, but it doesn't matter. It's just we put our kids first. So yeah, always put your kids first. And if the ex isn't, then that's fine. Make sure your kids see you putting them first. Do you consider timeout as oh God, I hate timeout. I can't stand timeout. Imagine if you were at work and you made a mistake and your boss said, that's it, go sit in a corner, nose to wall for 30 minutes. How would you feel? Humiliated? Embarrassed? Would you learn anything? Would you be sitting there thinking about what you did, or would you just sit there feeling like crap? It's no different with children. It's useless. I hate it. I hate timeout. I think it's mean. I would never do it. Yeah. And what do you do instead? Everything I'm talking about here. Okay, my 10-year-old has started lying even to the smallest extent, sneaking food, lying to friends. Do you know what's interesting? Is I've been doing this for 17 years. I would say in the last 2 or 3 years, I've heard more about kids sneaking food than ever before. I don't know what that is. Honestly, I don't know what that is. I don't think I ever had a client that had kids sneaking food until the last 2 or 3 years, and now I've had quite a few. It's interesting. Anyway, use the behavior board and put on the behavior board no lying. And then when you catch them lying, then you just say, here's a consequence. Don't say stuff like this. No lectures. Lectures are useless. You shouldn't lie. You shouldn't have done that. What are you thinking none of that garbage. That's mean. That's berating them. That's actually, I consider that mean. Just say, okay, you lied. Here's the consequence. Okay, do you want to go play a game now? That's how you do it. We all learn through accountability. We all learn through consequences. So yeah, just say no lying. I heard of someone once that was such a compulsive liar. It's evidently almost like a disease. And this person was such a compulsive liar that if you asked them the time, they literally would have to lie about it. They weren't even able to tell you the proper time. Everyone in the room could see it was 5:45, but they would have to say, well, it's actually 5:46. Isn't that the weirdest thing? So yeah, that's very rare, evidently, though, by the way. That's very rare. This was an adult, and they could not tell the truth no matter what. How interesting, eh? I only heard that about one person ever like that. And lots of people lie, but this was like, could not tell the truth about anything. What color are your eyes? If they were I got green eyes, they wouldn't be able to say that. They would have to say they're blue. Isn't that funny, eh? And I you know what? Like, I'm always trying to figure people out. That's why I'm always kids are the easiest to figure out because we were all kids at one time, right? I understand them. But what I find fascinating about that is, wouldn't it be embarrassing when everyone knows you're lying and they know you're lying? Like, what's the psychology behind that? I never understood that. Anyway, they are blue. I remember when I was a kid, I've got really light green eyes. And I remember when I was a kid, I was walking, her name was Patty Thompson, and we were walking home from school. She was a couple of years older than me. And we were walking home. We lived like a couple doors away. So we're just walking home after school. And she said to me, she looked at me funny, and she goes, your eyes are lime green. And I went home, and I thought that was a bad thing. I thought I had a disease, like Lyme disease. I could still remember that. Oh, okay, lime green. I went home. Mommy, what's wrong with my eyes? Isn't that funny what you remember? Oh, your eyes are lime green. Oh, no. I might have to go to the hospital and have new eyes put in. Oops. Okay, what if you have 3 kids and something bad happens, but no one fesses up and who did it? You got to be a really good detective with stuff like this. Okay, so no one's fessing up. This is what I would do. So you got 3 kids. They have to be like 3 and over to do this with. So you interview all 3 of them at the same time. So what happened? You tell me first, write it all down. So you write down the kid's name, write down what they said. Second kid, so what happened? Write their name down, what they said. Then the third one, write their name down. Then you interview them and drag it out. Have fun with this stuff. Go slow. So then say, okay, now I'm going to interview you separately. Take them separate. And then they'll tell you something different, right? Separately. And then what you do is you say, okay, that's fine. Then interview them again later, separately or together, whatever. The stories will change. Whoever is, the story will just change. So whoever's changing the story is probably the culprit. And you just have to get really good at this detective work, but have fun with it. I would love this stuff. Okay, now let's see. So exactly what, like you're like a detective. You're, okay, so then what happened? Oh, okay. So, and don't make any comments on it. Just write it down. Oh, okay. Then what? Drag it out. Yeah, they'll get so bored and so tired of this, they'll just end up fessing up. Fine, I did it. Just discipline me. Let's end this torture. So yeah. There's lots of methods with that. That's just my favorite one. My 12-year-old is talking back and questioning me. Okay, you can still get the boot camp course that goes up to 12 years old, but you're going to be transitioning into the teen years. I don't have a course on that right now. But yeah, they're starting to talk back. It just means they don't respect you. Work on your leadership skills. Your number one skill with pretty much all kids past the age of about 6, 7, 8 is listening. And I'm going to read out my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. The course is still good for you, though, the boot camp course. But this is my top 3 tips for teenagers or parenting teenagers. Number 1 is you listen to understand, show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. That applies to that 12-year-old too. That's part of it. So you listen to understand, show empathy. Number 2 is negotiate pretty much everything. Not so much with a 12-year-old, but as they get into the teen years, you want to do this more. And you say, hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? You do that with as much as you can with teenagers. Number 3 with teenagers is don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? And laugh it off, okay? It's okay to make mistakes. We're not like, life isn't about perfect. Life is messy. We're all messy. We all make mistakes. That's okay. But you just want to teach them that it's okay to make mistakes, but you want to be accountable for them. Oh. One thing I'm going to talk about right now, is I just like to throw the odd stuff in here, is that what kids' love language is, especially when they're younger, and even teenagers too. Kids' love language is fun. Okay. You want to learn how to have fun with your kids. Now, I get hired by a lot of parents who say, well, I never play with my kids. I would say most do. Most play with young children. But I do get hired by parents who say, well, I never really play with the kids. I buy them stuff and I sit and watch them play, but I don't actually get involved. And I strongly recommend you get involved and play. What you do. And they say, well, how do I do that? And I say, well, you watch them play and join in. Let them lead. They're in charge of the play. Okay. So you want to have fun with your kids. The more fun you have with them, the more connected they are with you, the more they want to please you. Okay. And then also with teenagers, I always said that my weapon with kids was fun or humor. So with teenagers, it's more about humor, but you can still have fun with them. Just do fun stuff with them, stuff that they like. Play their video games, do TikTok dances with them. You want to learn how to have fun with your kids because there's a lot of strength in having fun with your kids. You want to be friends with them. Your parent number 1, that's your number 1 role. You're the protector. You're the safe place to land where they tell everything to. But you also want to be their friend. You also want to have fun with them. But a lot of parents underestimate that. Fun is really important. How do you teach them to be accountable? You use the behavior board. And you're on there too. You're showing them that you're accountable. Your leaders lead by example. You don't tell them what to do. You show them. So, hey, look, I'm not allowed to yell. I just yelled. So there's a consequence for me. I had a second child, but have not been able to give him one-on-one. Kids don't need one-on-one. Don't even get me started with that. He repeats himself due to this. No, I don't get that. No. One-on-one is overrated. Yeah, that statement could get me in trouble without context around it, but I just don't have the time to go into it. But yeah, one-on-one time with each child is overrated. They can still feel heard and understood when you're doing stuff as a family. And it also encourages them to get along better. It encourages family relations. One-on-one time, yeah, you can have that, but don't overdo it. It's overrated. I can feel myself wanting to go on about that. I won't bore you. It's really psychological and it's kind of boring. So I'm going to tell you something cute. That behavior board, I invented that 16 years ago and I put the parents on it. It changed everything when I was coaching. And this was something that happened a few months ago. I thought this was so cute. A client of mine had a little boy who was 3 years old, and he had a little sister who was 15 months old, and they used to hit each other. And whenever she'd hit him, he'd hit her back. So his rule was no hitting. The behavior board starts at 3, so she couldn't be on it. So his rule was no hitting. So it got to the point where she would hit him, but he wouldn't hit her back. So anyway, so it was really good. Anyway, one day the mom was watching this. The little girl hit her big brother. He took her hand and he walked her over to the behavior board where no hitting was his rule. And he goes, see, no hitting. He was using the behavior board with his 15-month-old sister. Is that the cutest thing? Kids get this stuff. They're proud of themselves when they follow those rules, when you get good at it. Okay, you got to follow through. It is hard work. Getting respect is hard work. You got to earn this. They're not going to hand their respect to you on a silver platter. If you get a super easy kid, they might do that. My daughter was like that. She was the easiest kid in the whole world. I taught her to be independent thinking and a strong personality because she could have been more of a pleaser. She's not. She knows who she is. She's very strong, young woman. But yeah, she could have been a pleaser. She was very, very easy, never cried, never tantrum, nothing. But yeah, so my job with her was to build her up to be independent. And yeah, which she certainly is. So anyway, she works with me. So, and she's in charge of all the marketing and that. Someone said to me, well, what if someone asked me, they said, well, what if she does something you don't like? And I'm like, are you kidding me? What do I know about social media and marketing? She's in charge of all that stuff. She never asked me. That's her area. Okay. Actually, I've got to get going. I can feel my voice is really sore. I'm at the tail end of this cold after 3 weeks. Sorry about that. Nothing I can do about it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching me. If you want to check into the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses. I have 4 of them. One is on toddler tantrums, toddlers who hit, potty training, and bedtime battles. That one goes from 2 to 8 years old. Then I have my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. That's when you're at the height of your leadership. All their behavior between 3 and 12 years old is a direct result of your parenting. Then the teen stuff would just be coaching. I don't have any courses on teenagers. So you can look into coaching with any age, but if you have teenagers, all I have for you is the coaching. And I can't take everyone on. There's like a lineup. There's a queue or a waiting list for, not a lineup. There's a wait list for coaching. So if you're interested, just send me an email. And so I might get back to you right away. It depends on the ages, because I like to mix up the ages to keep it more interesting for me. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again Thursday for sure, my regularly scheduled live. If not, I might be back tomorrow. I'm just not sure yet. Happy parenting. Bye now.